this, and then I'm going to share what we have got. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nico Snyman. I'm the founder and CEO of Crest Advisory Africa, and I will be speaking today about our fantastic system. It is Isolytics, the GRCA, and GRCA is actually standing for Isolytics is actually ISO Analytics, just an abbreviation of that. And then we've got GRCA, that is Governance, Risk, Compliance, and Assurance. So assurance, we know that it is a fairly new, I want to say, a corporate governance structure that we are working with. It has been announced, I think, in 2017-18. So it is fairly new. The webinar guidelines, I'm just going to ask you to make sure that you are muting your microphone, because it is affecting our sound on this side. It is also affecting the duplication of our recording here. You can keep your video on if you want to, it's not a problem. It is just better for people that has got such big or better streaming that they can actually understand and follow everything. The presentation will take a maximum of about 50 minutes. I hope that it is going to be quicker. And then I'm asking, if you want to have questions, please, at the bottom of your screen, you can go there and you can see there's a chat box that you can chat there and ask the questions there. And Dominique, that is from my office, she will be monitoring that. And after the webinar, we have allocated 10 minutes for these questions. Or if you want to chat, you can also have use Alt and H together, and you can chat there. The webinar are recorded, and we will have that as a video and a podcast eventually on our library at Crest Advisory Africa, that you can have access to this as well. The table of contents, I've got a whole table of contents there, but we are only going to address the first three, not everything else there, because each of these are actually a webinar on its own. Just to give you a bit of understanding what is happening here is that Crest Advisory Africa, I'm going to give you the background of Crest. What is Isolytics? It's a good question. The characteristics of Isolytics as well. And then I'm going to speak about the GRCA, the governance, risk, compliance, and assurance, and all the other Isolytics webinars, like the VAR, the bow tie, the checklist, the mobile system that we've got, the ice cream mass, the surveys and compliance are scheduled as webinars that you will also get over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Who is Crest Advisory Africa? Crest Advisory Africa is a company that has been established by myself in 2014, in June of 2014. So we are at the moment 6 years old, and this is actually a good achievement for us. We are registered in South Africa, so everybody that is listening in now, we are based in South Africa, and we are specializing in corporate governance. So corporate governance is what we are actually looking at in terms of enterprise risk management, business continuity management, compliance management, health and safety, and we are actually registered and certified in 17 other management systems. So with this as a backdrop, we are also specializing in ISO, in international standards, organizations standards. So the ISO is actually the management systems that we are working with, and Isolytics that we've got is actually one of the very important programs that we've got that is actually built to analyze and to govern the ISO structures. Just want to give you a quick overview of the offerings that Crest has got. We've got 8 offerings that we are actually working in within our environment, within our clients. So it's firstly training and development. Then we're talking about advisory services or management consulting. The third one is we are conducting audits whether internal or external. We've got products. Our product line consists of personal protection equipment. We have got a whole array of products there. A second one is we are doing toolkits for the implementation of management systems. Analytics is one of our technologies that is here at the bottom left. So Analytics is actually a combined assurance modeling that we have built, and then we're going into executive incubation. We're speaking about events that we are managing and organizing for companies, and then international certification. International certification is actually our flagship because we can certify people in terms of a specific standard as lead implementer. We can do that as lead auditors as well. We can certify products. We can certify management systems, training organizations, trainers, and auditors. So what is Analytics? Analytics is, as you can see there on top, it is a GRC system. So I'm going to speak firstly about the components that is actually addressed in this GRC process. So we are making everything that we have built within Analytics is actually built on risk, on governance, on compliance, and on the first two things there that you are seeing, GRC and combined assurance. So we are looking at GRC, combined assurance, and ERM on the fifth module that we've got there. And in between, we are also looking at I2MAS. We are looking at the Bowtie XP. This is our risk assessment methodology, one of them that we are using. And then we've got the ISO integrated management system that Analytics is actually measuring per ISO. We've got, I think, 13, 14 ISOs already on that system. We've got a mobile system as well that is working across Africa. We've got a fantastic modeling on Analytics that's working with checklists, with compliance, and with surveys. And as you know, surveys, we've got every company needs to have information that's coming from either the clients or the employees or their stakeholders, that they can understand what is the needs of and expectations of their stakeholders. And if you look at the most critical part of everything that we've got here is that we've got configuration systems behind everything in Analytics that is actually speaking about artificial intelligence. And as we are going along, the machine learning is also implemented. Now, machine learning, for people that don't know about machine learning, is that we can place a standard of a kind of a document or a kind of a report on our system, and everything can be measured against that specific standard. And then we are getting a percentage of compliance, a percentage of that we can give assurance about that. The artificial intelligence, machine learning is actually a part of artificial intelligence, our AI, and we are working with big companies on artificial intelligence that we are building into our system. So what is Analytics and where did it come from? I want to explain that Analytics is a system that has been developed by Crest Advisory Africa in partnership with one of our universities in South Africa, one of our leading universities in South Africa. And we have designed a tool here that can actually measure the health and maturity of any management system. Whether we have listed it here or not, we can incorporate King 4, we can incorporate Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX, we can incorporate everything that we need to incorporate into this process, and we can make sure that you've got combined assurance that's actually giving you real-time information and that you've got a return on investment on that. This is also the first tool or software that provides combined assurance. Most of the other systems that you are getting in the market is actually addressing enterprise risk on its own, business continuity on its own, internal audit on its own, and you will see when I demonstrate our system, that our system is actually a totally integrated system that is actually measuring all those levels. And it serves as a repository for evidence. So making sure that if you are audited, if there's any regulatory environment that you are reporting to, that the repository that you've got of the evidence is actually creating for you such an evidence trail that if your company is 5 years old, you will have the old objectives that you have established in 5 years ago on your system, and that is making that you've got a continuous improvement process already built into your whole system. It measures the level of risk, and it measures the level of assurance. Now, I think for people that is actually working with corporate governance, the measurement of level of assurance is actually very new, because combined assurance as a branch of corporate governance has been, as I said, announced around 2017, implemented in 2018. So it is still a baby in the corporate governance environment. And we are actually the leaders in this space where we are working with combined assurance. And out of combined assurance, we have actually seen that there's a huge gap in the measurement of management systems, or actually every department that you've got in your company, that you can measure them in the same way, and that you can determine the health and maturity of that management system. And it enables continuous auditing for risks across various management systems. So if you understand auditing is actually a snapshot, a picture that you are taking of one set of deliverables. And what you are doing there is that you are actually only measuring and auditing that snapshot, that picture, on that specific moment, in a specific moment in time. And it is not earlier, it is not later, it is in that specific moment in time against a criteria. Now, what we are doing is that we are saying in Isolytics, in the new modern world, you cannot have a snapshot audit of a department, of an environment, where you are auditing once a year, once every 3 years possibly. And out of that, you are able to give assurance to your board. I think that is reckless. So your auditing and risk environment needs to be continuously audited, and you need to have continuous assurance to say that we are still aligned and we are still going forward with our objectives and our systems. The key characteristics of Isolytics, you have seen we have got about 8 or 9 integrated systems into Isolytics. So we are working with a single sign-on. You don't have to have 10, 14, 15 passwords. No, you've got a single sign-on that you can actually have access to incident management, to surveys, to checklists, to the bow tie, everything with a single sign-on. We have got escalations and notifications, whether it is push notifications, whether it is notifications for escalations that we are building into the system. We have built a system to have a segregation of information for different users. So each user has got its own environment that they're working in, and it is actually audited and logged per user. The ability to store sensitive data in country, very important, because we're working with the GDPR. For people that don't know what the GDPR is, it is the General Data Protection Regulations that has been announced or actually implemented in 2019, the 25th of March of 2019, and that is a global system that needs to be adhered to, and there's big penalties in terms of that. That is also aligned now with the new 27701 ISO that has been issued the end of last year, and that incorporates with your GDPR, and your the 27701 is actually called the Personal Information Management System. So it protects you and gives you a certificate about that. The ability for reporting and extracting of information manually. So we can export in Word, we can export in Excel, we can export in PDF, we can export in JPEG, anything that you need. Our API capability makes sure that we can actually draw information out from other systems and incorporate it into our system, and the same is also true from our system to other systems. The ability to pull in and transform data from other systems. This is through the API. Visualization through dynamic dashboards as per the client's requirements. Now, visualization in the new world is actually very important, because if you're looking at different graphs for the same set of data, you are going to get one graph that is actually better than another one. They can display it better, they can explain it better. And with that, you've got the attention of the audience, firstly, but secondly, we can change any kind of dashboard that you want. And then we've got a modular approach to ensure interconnectivity between all the modules. You've seen the 8 modules that we've got, and you can build your own interconnected, dynamic analytics system and software approach. I'm not going to go through this. I'm going to actually demonstrate for you the system as we have got it, that we are working specifically from the system and not from anything else, instead of showing you a presentation about it. So I'm logging onto our system. I just want to see. I don't think that we are visible there. Just want to reshare it quickly for us. There we are. So if you log onto the system, you will see that it is the Athletics Assurance System, and we have got a demo client here that we are working with. And out of this demo client, we will see that with the various international standards that we have already populated on the system, it's a pre-populated system, so you don't have to populate anything here. Everything that you need to have is already populated here. The result of this is that your compliance is driven by the standard. Your compliance is driven by every requirement that you need to have on the standard. So what we have chosen here is actually 4 standards to give you a combined assurance model and a combined assurance approach in everything that we are doing. So we have chosen here 18788, that is the Security Operations Management System. We have also chosen 14001, that is Environmental Management System, 45001, that's Occupational Health and Safety Management System, and 22301, that is Business Continuity Management System. Now, all of these are actually very applicable in a time and period that we are functioning in now at the moment, especially with business continuity, with health and safety, with COVID, the environment. Are we looking after our environment? And the effect of COVID is actually a better environment, and security is actually at risk in this whole space. So if you can see in this graph, every clause that you need to comply with in an ISO standard is actually listed here. Clause 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And 4 has to do with context, leadership, 5 is leadership, 6 is planning, 7 is support, 8 is operations, and 9 is performance, and 10 is continuous improvement. I'm going to click on that one, and it will take us through to the system itself. Now, if you look at the system, the same as what you have seen, what you have seen on the front page is actually giving you the context, leadership, the planning, support, operations, performance, and improvement. Now, each of these in the ISO standard has got certain requirements. Now, if you're looking at understanding the context in which you operate as a business, there is clause 4. And the requirement is there that you need to analyze your internal environment. You need to analyze your external environment. What is driving your business? As we have seen with the external environment, You can have a strong internal environment, what you want, what is designed for there, that is working optimally. But you did not plan for COVID. Nobody did, not across the world. So COVID as an external environmental um, um, pandemic has actually brought every business in the world to its knees. So the importance of an external environment analysis is critical. Your legal environment, COVID is now bringing into play as well. A legal environment, a regulatory environment. You have to have permits, you have to have licenses to operate. Your subcontractors need to comply with the new COVID rules. Your human rights, the human rights we have seen now in America, in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, we've got huge human rights disparities that needs to be addressed as well. And this is destabilizing America in great ways. Your stakeholders, now stakeholders is everybody that can actually, if you're looking at stakeholders, it has got a very beautiful definition in the ISO standards. It is actually stating there it's a person or entity that can be affected by, or perceived to be affected by any other person or another entity. So it is not only that you are sitting here and you're saying that my stakeholders is A, B, and C. You have to go and look who can affect you, who is perceived to be affecting you as well. That perceived, you need to be looking broader than just the obvious things that is in front of you. So every clause in this system has actually been developed to work in the same way. I'm going to demonstrate for you the internal environment, or the internal risk assessment that we are calling it. So if you're looking at this, we've got 19 deliverables. You can see they on the screen. Just want to see if I can, no, it's fine. So we've got 19 deliverables, and these 19 deliverables is actually here on the graph here at the bottom. So what we are measuring here is firstly compliance. So we can choose it as that it is there or not, and it will give you a rating. The second one, and I just want to ask you, keep your eye on the level of assurance. That is, it is grayed out, as well as your score here, as well as your combined audit measurement or matrix score here as well, and then your level of risk. All of them is actually working with a big database at the back that is pre-configured, and that is working with formulas, with everything that you are actually putting into these white spaces. So at the moment, the level of assurance is 91. So if we're looking at internal control effectiveness, internal controls is actually making that you are evaluating each and every control, whether it is critical or not. Every process, whether it is critical or not. So we are speaking as a company of a bag of controls that we have actually formulated as P square is T square. P square is T square means that people and processes, systems, tools, and technology. All 5 of those types of controls need to be built into everything that you've got, that you can evaluate it. So if we're looking at this, we are saying that the objectives, let's say the objectives are not so good. It is 40%. It is mediocre. Then you will see immediately that your level of assurance is brought down to 71%, and your level of risk is going up to 29. Now, because your objectives are mediocre, you can actually say that it is on your document assurance matrix. Sometimes there is a document. Mostly there are documents, but sometimes it is in a development stage, it is not signed off. Let's go for that one there, 40%. Now you can see that your level of assurance is a 40%, and your level of risk is 60%. We have also brought in here your non-conformances, because you can live here in an euphoria and think, but my objectives is fantastic. My company strategy is working fantastically. My business mission is great. until somebody else casts their eyes over this and they are saying, but what do you mean with this objective? In some companies that I've been doing consulting work in, some objectives are just um, a one-word phrase, not even a phrase, it's just one word, health and safety. That does not mean anything. It is just saying that health and safety is on your radar, yes. But what about it? Is it that you want to curb lost time? Is it that you want to have zero fatalities? Is it that you want to have zero deaths in your environment? Health and safety as a big discipline cannot be measured as health and safety. It needs to have specific key performance indicators and key risk indicators there as well. So if looking at your non-conformances is actually every audit finding. So what we have done is that we went through the certification body that we are working with, the PECB, and we have looked at what is the audit findings that you can have. Firstly, there's a major non-conformance. Now, as a major non-conformance, it says there that it's a total failure of your system. And the total failure of a system means for us that we have weighted it, that we are saying that if there's a major non-conformance and of a total failure in your system, then there's a minus 50% on your level of assurance. If there's a minor non-conformance, that is explained there as well, it's non-conformance that judgment and experience indicate is not likely to result in a failure of the management system, but reduces the ability to assure control processes, products, and services. That is a minus 25. If you're looking at an observation is actually a proactive way of saying we don't want to have a non-conformance in the future. So your observation process here is giving you a year to 18 months early warning system that you are saying that we are preempting that this could happen and that a minor non-conformance or major non-conformance could be happening or documented. And for that, we are giving you a positive 10%. Opportunities for improvement is usually where you are saying that we need to go away from an Excel incident management system, and we need to actually adopt a system that we are working with. And with that, that is usually a longer term period for about 2 years because it needs to be a business case. It needs to go into the budget. The budget needs to be approved by the board. And then you are starting with your tender process. And only after that, you are starting to implement it. So that takes you about 24 months, depending on the size of the organization. But for that opportunity for improvement, as a proactive part, we are giving you a 20% positive percentage on the level of assurance. And then your out of scope and not applicable or acceptable ranges are giving you zeros. So I want to actually go and say that we have got here an observation, and with the observation here, we have got a 10 as a positive, so that brings us to a level of assurance of 37, and then we are working with combined assurance. Now this is where the GRCA is coming in, because without audit used in your system, you are actually discarding a lot of information that needs to be incorporated into your system, and you are actually having a false report to your board and to everybody else, because this integrated system are not actually working then. If you're looking at the combined assurance matrix, we have looked at what is the assurance providers that you've got in your company. So the first three, we have looked at what is the internal assurance providers. That is your line functions, your specialist functions, your internal auditors that you've got, and we have allocated there a weighting of a positive 15, 20, or 25. 4, 5, and 6 is actually external assurance providers. Now, the catch with an external assurance provider is that there had to be something wrong in the organization for the board to be signing off that an independent third party can come into my business, they can order, they can have access to all my information. And because of that, and that report is coming back to the board. And the decision of the board has got another ripple effect on everybody else within the organization. So we have allocated because of the cost and because of the influence and the effect and the gravity of that report, we have allocated there for a level 4, a -15, level 5, that is usually forensic fraud examiners. Now that means fraud has happened. There is corruption already there. So you have already lost money. And now you are spending more money to actually identify independently who has committed the fraud. So that is a -25. And then on a regulatory inspection, if you lose your license, you cannot operate anymore. So that is for us very grave, very serious, and the consequences on that is very serious. So we have got it there as a 4, as a -15. I'm going to make it a bit positive. Let's make it the line function has identified that, and now you can see there it is changing there, and your level of assurance is changing there as well. And all of this gives you a level of risk of 45, a level of assurance of 55, and this is now plotted on a risk matrix as you are going along, and you can see there it's a 12, so you can go to this 12 that is significant, a significant risk still, and then we've got a total evidence depository for you where you can actually go and determine, is it an observation, was it a verbal expression, was it documentary, technical, analytical, confirmative, or physical and mathematical. I just want to go to confirmative. Now this is on its own combined assurance. This is on its own a GRCA. So if you're looking at confirmative is if you are working with scales. I am engaged with the diamond and gold environments, and we've got these scales in the production value chain that needs to be calibrated and that needs to be serviced, as well as sorting systems and sorting machines that needs to be calibrated as well as maintained correctly. And this is that certificate that you are getting there is actually for you confirmative certification, confirmative evidence that you can upload here. And here's your whole depository of everything that was uploaded for the last 6 to 8 months, 12 months, year, 2 years. You cannot remove it because this is giving you historical evidence that you need to have, and that can only be removed in terms of a policy and a procedure in terms of your company, or in terms of the law and the legal requirements that you need to keep documents for 5 years, 3 years, 7 years, or 10 years. And then out of all of this, you've got a project management system here that we can say, this is our tasking, this is our issuer, the date of issue, the receiver, when is it completed, and you can go and change as the person that has got that. And our system can give you every report that is either late or that is still pending, or the performance of every person that is actually working in the space. Now, as you've seen, we have done within 3 to 4 minutes with an explanation with it now as well. We have done a risk assessment on objectives. So those objectives are actually giving you a full overview. Are we compliant? What is our strength of our internal controls? What is our level of assurance, our level of risk? And if you do that with every one of these 19 deliverables or requirements, you will see here at the bottom that you've got here a total gap analysis that as you go along, that is done already. We as consultants are brought in a lot of times to actually give or to actually analyze systems, management systems, and conduct a gap analysis. A gap analysis can take you up to a week. In some cases, it takes you up into 2 weeks. So there's a lot of money that is involved that you can actually save, that you can actually put into a system, have it as self-auditing, and you've got a whole audit trail about that. It is not a moment in time or a space in time that you've got a snapshot audit that you are doing, and everybody is preparing for this audit. And it is actually, I want to say, it is not a true reflection. So this gap analysis is now reflected in this graph here at the bottom. So every one of these deliverables that we have measured here are actually measured there as well. So you've got your profile on compliance, you've got your profile on your internal control effectiveness. Now you can see there, where do you need to work and where is the gaps, like this one here on number 10, that there is nothing there, and 15 as well, and 18 as well. So, and let's just see on 10 is roles and responsibilities, organizational charts, job descriptions. That's critical. If you're looking at the zeros, number 15. Number 15 is capabilities, human capital and human resources. Capabilities are critical in an organization because that speaks to competence. That speaks to people that can actually go out and do the work. That you have got the work, the people, that you have got the right people, and that you've got the right people at the right price as well. Number 18 there is actually activities, functions, services, and products. If that is not well described, how would the people know what is the context that you are working in? So then we're looking at the documents, document assurance matrix. There's your profile. They're also with a lot of zeros, and there's also strengths. And then we've got a level of assurance and a level of risk. And you can see there with your level of risk and or your level of assurance and your level of risk, it is easily identifiable, and you can download this and put it into a report. Your risk profile, yes, a risk profile for you, and you can immediately see which ones do you need to work with, the 25s. And if you've got a risk appetite and tolerance level, then you can easily draw it in there, and you know everything that you are working with is in terms of your policies and your structures within the company. Your non-conformances, you can see above the line is positive, below the line is negative. So which ones has been overpopulated or overused? So you've got little use of your line management, because that is actually a plus 25. You've got here a specialized function. So your line function, that is your first line of defense, are actually falling flat on this, and you're waiting for internal auditors or forensic auditors to come in and to audit you. So you are playing a waiting game. And then we've got combined assurance matrix, where you are looking at which of the auditors has conducted which of the non-conformances, or which of the audits that has been required. If you are just looking at this, you have got so much information that you can download, that you can actually put into your reports, that you can actually guide your management and your executives and your board in saying that we are actually doing the right things right. And we have identified the right things by listing them here, measuring that in terms of a management risk criteria that is to do with your consequences, your internal control effectiveness, your document assurance matrix, your risk matrix itself, your likelihood measurement, and all of these are then brought up again and summarized into your clause summary. And this clause summary is speaking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 environments that you have actually analyzed. So with that information, you've got a lot of intellectual property that you've got that other people don't have. You can actually manage your environment, you can actually manage your business in terms of what is actually happening around you, with your stakeholders, with your regulatory environment, with your permits, with your legal environment, that you are actually compliant, and you've got everything there that is measured as it is in real time. And this is giving you a profile of everything that is there on top, to actually say to you that this is your risk, and now you need to go and work specifically on your risk profile. And this can also be downloaded. So if you're looking at the system itself now, it talks about leadership. So measurement of your leadership, measurement of guidance of your tone at the top. We're talking about your planning. How's your planning actually implemented in your business? And how can you expand that? And how can you actually prove that? Your support systems, this has to do with your resources, with your competence of your personnel. Did you do a competence analysis prior to the appointment? And did you do a competence analysis after the appointment? Is the person growing in that post or not? Awareness is actually changing behaviors. And then communication, what you've got there, and everything that you've got to actually prove that into documentation. And then we're speaking about operations. And operations is actually what we have seen is the environment that most of the people are working most of the time on, because this is the first and foremost environment to actually work on. But if there's no leadership and no planning and no support, you are working in a vacuum in your operations. We're looking at performance. Performance, we're looking here at monitoring. What do you monitor? What do you measure? That is different methodology. What do you analyze? That is totally different, because monitoring is looking at things. Measurement is how do I actually measure this on a matrix or on something there? How do I analyze this in terms of my KPIs, and how do I evaluate it to determine, did I reach my objective or not? What is my testing, my exercises and testing? And we can even have your strategic risk register on here, your departmental risk register on here. We can have your operational risk register on here. Everything to actually look at your performance. And then on continuous improvement, if continuous improvement is not your company's primary goal, then you are going to work backwards. And if you're looking at the companies that could have in COVID-19 that can actually adapt the quickest was the companies that is actually showing progress now. They are not, they have adapted to this new abnormal normal that we are working in now. And then with integrated systems, every integrated system, whether it is a project management system, PMBOK, whether it is Bowtie, we have got the license that is actually from our strategic partners in the Netherlands. So with a license, you can go through there with a single logon. With the I2MAS, this is actually our incident and investigation management system, our checklist. This is our continuous various levels of risk management. Then we've got our surveys that can identify where do we need to actually work with our stakeholders, with our subcontractors, our vendors, our clients, and everything of these are then rolling up into a graphical overview of where do you stand. So this is actually giving you a wagon wheel of your performance, and you can see it is buckled. And the question is, how do you make it that you are always mature and healthy in the same level? And you can see the operations. We are working very hard there, but on performance and continuous improvement and understanding the context, we are producing a lot of liquor, but we cannot sell liquor at the moment because of COVID worldwide. So is it really acceptable or not? Then we need to be looking at that. So this is giving you a total overview and of what a proper governance, risk, and compliance system need to be looking at. And I'm just going to share my screen again with my presentation, and then we can go on with that. So if we're looking at combined assurance, or if you're looking at actually GRCA, we are looking at all these assurance providers that in their own right, in their own discipline, in their own environment, must give you a level of assurance, and that is critical in this space. Because if you are running a business, you need to know that even from my marketing, from my designs, from my IT, from my operations, my maintenance, everyone is working on a performance level of, let's say, average of 75%. Hell, that is very good in a corporate environment. If you are going to look at the detail within the detail, then you can go and see, but wow, anti-bribery or compliance, we are at risk there. But overall, we are on a 75%. And this is where the route to combined assurance is playing a critical role in. Now, our system, Analytics, has been built on the world-renowned system called PDCA. Now, the PDCA is speaking about Plan, Do, Check, and Act, and this is the integrated management system that has been developed by Edward Deming in the early 40s, 1940s, that has been implemented globally, and that ISO has actually accepted that system to implement. All the ISOs are now written in terms of the PDCA, and this is the simplicity of actually ISOs. It can be very complex, yes. If you make it very complex, yes, it will be very complex. But if you're looking at the Plan, Do, Check, and Act, there's actually 19 building blocks that you need to be looking at. And as you can see there, the planning stage is your most critical stage that you have got. The doing part of it, operations, as I've indicated there for you on 2.6, that is the execution of it, yes. Then you've got the checking part, that is your monitoring, internal audit, and management review. And then you've got your acting part, that is actually closing out all your non-conformances and looking at how can we continuously improve. So with this, I just, we are nearing our end of the time. So I just want to, every one of you that is on this webinar, if you want to have access to our system, please register with us. Ask us for a 6 weeks trial that you can have there. Ask us for a proof of concept. We will gladly do this wherever you are globally. We are working in every country globally, so that is not a problem there. So this is the bonus that you are getting, to have access actually to a system that is fantastic. And then I want to say to you, thank you very much for your attention. We will address the questions just hereafter. Thank you very much. And I'm going to open now for questions. Are there any questions, Dominique?
No, Nico, there was no questions.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no questions, I just want to introduce to you, we are going to be having every afternoon at 3 o'clock, we will be sharing with you a webinar. So we've got webinars in the mornings at 11 o'clock. We've got webinars in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. It's only an hour, and we are addressing fantastic topics. We are sharing our intellectual property that we have built over 20, 25 years, 30 years with all of you, and making sure that during this COVID pandemic, that you can still grow as a person, as a business, and hopefully after this we can contact each other and we can exchange ideas of how to be better. Thank you very much, and I hope that everybody is safe, and I want to say thank you and goodbye.